Hello everyone, welcome to Keeping It Real by Housing.com. We are the longest running and the top rated show in the real estate industry. The spring is back in the step of the realty sector. Developers continue to launch new projects in the top cities as well as other emerging areas. During 2023, all the main markets recorded strong growth. The top 8 cities, Delhi, NCR, Mumbai, Pune, Hyderabad, Ahmedabad, Bengaluru, Chennai and Kolkata, continue to command a lot of interest among property buyers and investors. In this episode, we have our special guests Mr. Vikas Wadhawan, CFO of REA India and business head at proptech.com, and Ankita Sood, head of research, proptech.com, Housing.com and Makan.com, to talk about the deeper trends on sales and supplies in the real estate space. Hello and a warm welcome, Vikas and Ankita. Delighted to have you for this show. Ankita, first to you. The residential real estate market has demonstrated remarkable bullishness in India over the last 9 months. Project launches and sales continue to gallop at a fast rate, as also mentioned in PropTiger's latest Real Insight residential reports too. Explain this to our listeners as why and how has the property market found its mojo back?
Yes, Gaurav, thank you for having me on the show. Now, as you rightly mentioned, both demand and supply in the property market across the cities, top 8 cities, has seen a significant surge in, both sales and supply. And this property momentum, this cumulative positive demand has culminated into the great first 9 months that we've seen of 2023. Now, new supply is up by 34%. Now, that translates into approximately 3.8 lakh units that we saw in the first 3 quarters or the first 9 months of 2023. Now, this surge in supply is definitely, we would say a clear testament to the confidence the supply side or the developers have in the market. If I talk about the sales numbers, so new property sales we see are up by 17% on a year-on-year basis in the January to September period, translating approximately 2.7 lakh units that were sold in the top 8 cities. Now, let's come to what has helped the sector. So there are a variety of reasons. As we know, real estate follows a very cyclical trajectory, and there are periods of highs and lows. And we saw that the last down cycle that started in 2013, I'd say it found its booster shot in the pandemic that, shifted the whole concept of home. It induced that shift towards home ownership. So that has actually played a very, very important part in, this surge in demand that we are seeing. Now, we are definitely we're in the upcycle of the sector where demand that we see is outstripping the available supply in the market, and more so towards the ready-to-move-in inventory. So approximately only 18 to 20% of the total under construction falls in the ready-to-move-in segment. And more so the demand is going towards the ready-to-move-in segment. So yes, the market has definitely found its feet back, and a variety of reasons, but more so because of the shift towards home ownership. So home not only for end use, but a long-term tool for wealth building. That's how property investment is being viewed at right now. Gaurav?
Vikas, given the continuation of rate pause by the Reserve Bank of India and the positive indicators such as the control over inflation, upbeat sales and launches, how do you think the realty industry will perform in the future, Vikas?
Thanks, Gaurav, first of all, hosting me on the show. I think you're asking a very pertinent question because we are seeing housing market in the top 8 cities are growing from strength to strength. And as Ankita has already spoke about some of the important numbers, which is published by our PropTiger report recently, I won't go into those details. Mentioned are important points to further strengthen the demand sentiment in the market as stable interest rate and control over inflation are important ingredients of a solid real estate market. But there are certain fundamental structural changes which has happened or which is playing a larger role in this overall growth in the market, and Ankita has briefly touched upon it. So let me just reiterate that. So post COVID, our equation with homes have changed, where home is not only the safest place, but we also want a bigger home. We want a home where we have amenities, modern amenities available. We want a home where healthcare facilities are easily accessible, and so on and so forth, which has definitely accelerated the sentiment of owning a home and owning a home which suits to these requirements. The second important point, which is driving growth in the market, as Ankita also touched upon, the market was going through a down cycle between 2013 to 20. But now, post COVID, the economic recovery in India has been pretty strong, which is further fueling the demand in real estate. And this is on the back of rising disposable income. Return of investors is another important factor which is driving a strong growth in the demand, because real estate, we've always seen, when you see the property prices are going up, the investor sentiment kind of comes back, and they believe that they can make good returns in the market. So they are also the investment by the government in infrastructure sector is also driving urbanization and hence demand in real estate. So all these factors put together are big drivers of real estate. Looking ahead, I mean, what we've just discussed, these are all structural shifts which has happened, or all long-term contributor to the growth of real estate sector and growth of the economy in India. So if you ask me how the sector will perform in future, I am very bullish about it. And I feel that the real estate industry momentum will continue, at least in the short term to medium term, at least at the same pace, if not better.
Ankita, as we are now at the end of the calendar year, and if you look back, how would you summarize it, considering that the prices of new homes as well as overall asking rents have zoomed up at a very fast pace, Ankita?
So yes, Gaurav, of course, like Vikas has also highlighted, since we are in the upcycle, property prices have gone up, investors are back in the market. So all of this definitely, pushes the pricing up. So if we see from 2021, we growing at a moderate 6 to 7% if I take the weighted average of all the top 8 cities. But, this property increase was always on the cards, given that from 2013, it was pretty much muted. We were growing on a year-on-year basis. We were just growing at 1 to 2%. Property prices were not going anywhere. So this was always on the cards. And of course, the demand revival, we see that going forward as well, both for capital values and on the rent side. Property prices will, continue to be on the heated side, given the demand supply mismatch that is, currently being seen. Second side, we see on the home buying preferences, the first 9 months of the year. On the preference side, in the past 12 to 18 months, what we are seeing is that there is a distinct preference for the ready to move in homes, not only from an end use perspective, but also from an investor side. They are looking at projects which are, are completely ready or are nearing completion. So this is one major shift that we see. Of course, there are a lot of credible supply side projects that have been lapped up in 2 to 3 days only. So we have that segment as well. But, going forward, we see that both the rent and the capital values, the trajectory, they will continue to grow, maybe not at the same fast pace, but in nearly close ranges in the coming few quarters as well. Gaurav?
Vikas, it would be great if you can also give your insights on the challenges that the sector is grappling with and how do you see the impact of the same.
Sure, Gaurav. So, Gaurav, we know housing market is going through a consolidation process. Demand is gravitated towards the large and reputed players. And as a result, new supply coming into the market is also from those players only, right? This has brought this is positive. This has brought confidence among home buyers, and now they are not shying away from investing in under construction projects, and which was not the case few years back, because what was happening in the past, the confidence of the buyers was shaken whether they should be putting in their hard-earned money into under construction properties or not. But that seems to be clearly back in the market, and that's reflected in our data as well. I mean, during July to September, as Ankita also touched upon, 14% of the units sold were in ready to move in, while remaining 86% were under construction properties. The other important data point which further gives the confidence that yes, the buyer sentiment is back, is 31% of the sales were concentrated in above 1 crore price bracket. Now, if I talk about challenges which you specifically asked about, as I've mentioned in the past as well, single window clearance, I think, is one big challenge for the industry, because market is growing fast. How do we enable the fast pace market with faster project launches and execution of the project? Still, the entire approval process in real estate market is pretty cumbersome, and there are many approvals are required before a project can be launched. I think the government at federal level needs to come with some legislation where a single window clearance can be provided. And that is not important only from a developer's perspective, because that definitely will help reduce the cost for the developer in these compliances, but will also strengthen the confidence of the buyers further, because then they know that there is one stamp which gives me complete assurance that I can buy this property. Right? I just spoke about branded players consolidating the market. While it's good for the market, it's good for the consumer confidence, but at the same time, for a secular growth, the smaller developers also has to play a big role, right? And they will only be able to play a big role if their funding requirements are being met. Funding is an important is very important ingredients of real estate development, because it is a capital intensive business, and hence government should look at resolving this bottleneck so that the capital can be accessed by this sector, which is contributing 8 to 9% of the GDP because of their deeper pockets and strengthened balance sheet, but it's not available to all other players in the market. So that needs to be resolved. The third point which I would call out as a challenge, or the government should focus at, is regulating the resale and rental market. This will further strengthen the confidence of the consumer and help grow the number of transactions in the market. And when I say regulating the resale and rental market, is bringing in regulations around the intermediaries, the brokerages, and so on and so forth, so that the stakeholders in the market have better confidence in the market and they can do the transaction more comfortably. And fourth, last but not the least, is simplifying the transactions in real estate sector, because this is the largest financial decision of anyone's life, but still the real estate transaction is pretty complicated. I think if the government looks at it closely and simplify the transactions, which can make significant contribution for further strengthening the market and contribute to the overall GDP.
Ankita, since now we are talking about the overview of 2023, let's also talk about the proptech space in India. The inflow in India crossed the $4 billion mark since 2009 in the first half of 2023. Help us understand these numbers. What are the trends you were noticing in the proptech space in India?
Sure. So very briefly, because PropTech in itself is going to be such a long chat. So just briefly touching upon what we saw in 2023 in this space, this definitely has gained a lot of momentum post the pandemic. We know that the sector in India has been reluctant as compared to the global counterparts in adopting the digital inputs. However, post the pandemic, you could say this was pretty much forced, and one had to. There was no choice around it, which has played very well for the sector. So we just feel, Gaurav, that this is just, we've just scratched the tip of the iceberg as of now. PE inflow in the sector has grown at a stunning 49% since 2010. That shows that, yes, the industry is adapting and its readiness for the digital acceleration in the real estate space. What we are seeing is that the segments prior to 2020, that's the pandemic, shared economy took the major share. However, we see in 2023 construction technology and sales and marketing platforms such as ourselves have emerged as the highest clockers for this investment inflow. So both these segments are definitely to watch out for. And currently, investments in the proptech sector are happening across the real estate cycle. So it's not only sales and marketing, shared economy, but construction technology and, with AI coming in across the cycle for building technology, investments are taking place. So definitely in the coming year as well, we see this number getting topped up further.
Finally, Vikas, looking ahead, what are the key drivers that could stimulate the growth of the economy, and how will they impact the real estate sector and also the proptech space? Can we expect a reciprocal relationship where the growth of the real estate sector drives the economy or vice versa? Very briefly, Vikas.
Technological advancements, infrastructure development, and government policies, whether it is Make in India or financial inclusion and so on and so forth. These factors will impact real estate sector positively with increased demand in commercial spaces and housing. PropTech innovation will play a crucial role in transforming the industry, and there definitely exists a reciprocal relationship between economic growth and real estate sector. As economy expands, business thrive, leading to higher demand in office spaces and commercial real estate and creation of more jobs, which in turn require more residential spaces. Conversely, a flourishing real estate sector can drive economic growth in generating employment and boosting related industries, because at the end of the day, this sector contributes 8 to 9% of the GDP.
Thank you, Ankita and Vikas, for sharing your deep insights. A pleasure and delight always to host you on this show. Thanks for dropping by and having this conversation with us.
Thank you, Gaurav.
Thank you.
That's it from us for this episode. We shall be back again with a fresh episode of Keeping It Real by Housing.com with the information and insights on the real estate industry. Whether you are a pro or a beginner, we are here to keep you informed and entertained in the world of Indian real estate. This is Keeping It Real by Housing.com, where we keep it real always. You can catch the episode on Housing.com, on the Housing.com app, on earshot.in, Spotify.com, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Ghana.com, and Jio7. Take care and stay safe.